If you will, Jonathan, just tell us a little bit about Lincoln Charter, about how it got started, why it got started, what you do, just a general overview of Lincoln Charter School.
Sure. Lincoln Charter was founded by a group of parents in 1998. As a group of parents in the Lincoln County and area and region, and they were interested in establishing a college prep option for Lincoln County and ultimately a school option that would serve some of the surrounding region as well, from a college prep perspective. In addition to college preparation, one of the key tenets of the original board and sort of founding principles of the charter was service. Service is one of our community expectations, and that is something that from back in the late 90s, for Lincoln Charter, it was an expectation for all of our families to be involved in the school. Research shows that families and parents who are active and engaged in their child's education help their students to, from an academic perspective, from a school attendance perspective. It does a lot of the beneficial things, helps to accomplish a lot of the beneficial things that we're all trying to accomplish from an education perspective. And so service was a component of that original school board and the original school back in the late 90s. Currently, our students have service hour expectations. All students K through 12 have service hour expectations. Many of those service hours are documented in relation to activities and projects that they do that are related to their classes. So kindergarten through 12th grade, students are involved in service in various capacities. So that's something that was a sort of founding cornerstone of the school as well. Currently, as you mentioned, we have 2 campuses. We are, as of last check, we are the largest brick and mortar charter school in the state. We will have in this upcoming school year, we will have about 2,150 students approximately, and those are spread between our Denver and Lincoln campuses, both of those which serve a K-12 population. So they're sort of mirror images on either side of the county. The Denver campus currently is at capacity with roughly 1,200 students, and the Lincoln campus will grow by approximately 50 students for the next 4 years. And then after that, at that point, they will be at capacity. In addition to to service and our community expectations, which are things like honesty, respect, empathy, responsibility, etc. We also emphasize technology in the classroom, and currently our middle school and our high school are all one-to-one, meaning that each student has a Chromebook or a computer device that they have with them at all times. They take them home. They're responsible for them throughout the entire school year. Many or most of our assignments and graded things are on a tool called Canvas, which is an online learning management system. Teachers can post their syllabus, their assignments, post things to a calendar, and so it's very much like what many of our students will experience in college from a learning perspective, and so that's something that is a big part of what we do, particularly in middle school and high school. From a curriculum perspective, our elementary and middle school students and teachers use something called Core Knowledge, which is a curriculum that exposes students to concepts year after year as they work their way through, as they matriculate through those grades. And so they may be exposed to the Civil War early on in elementary school, and then they'll circle back to that later on. And it works in a really interdisciplinary way, getting teachers who teach math and science to work with their English language arts teachers so that everybody's working together effectively for the best end result for kids.
Yes. Similarities between Lincoln Charter School and the regular public schools, Lincoln County schools.
So I will tell you that I'm not an expert on traditional public schools or any other schools other than Lincoln Charter. However, our accountability is the same as what you would find at a traditional public school. So our students are taking the same testing in many ways to a traditional public school. For instance, all of our third grade students fall under the Read to Achieve third grade reading rules and accountability that is part of North Carolina accountability standards. We teach the same standards as a traditional LEA or traditional public school. We do overlay that with things like core knowledge that would be something that would be different than what you would find at a traditional public school most likely. But we are teaching the same standards and we're held to the same accountability standards as a traditional public school. We're funded a little bit differently than a traditional public school. We have some flexibility with how we allocate our resources, and so traditional public schools, from my understanding, get specific dollars that can be allocated towards salaries and utilities. We get, from a simplistic perspective, we get a big pot of money, and then we decide what percentage of that or what amounts of that can be used for salaries and what percentages or amounts of that can be used for utilities and all of the other expenses that come with operating and running a school. So we get a little bit more flexibility with our finances. We do have school calendar flexibility as a charter school, so we can make what our school board feels are good local decisions for our school community regarding the school calendar, so we can start a little bit earlier than many traditional public schools are able to or do, and we can end a little bit earlier, or we have some flexibility with how that works. We are governed by a school board that is specific to Lincoln Charter, and that's an important distinction. Our school board is concerned only with what is best for Lincoln Charter students, because Lincoln Charter School is essentially our own district. So where every one of our kids live, that's the district that we serve, and our school board is concerned with those families and those students.
One of the things that I think some people are perhaps unaware is that charter schools, like Lincoln Charter School, are public schools.
That is correct. Yep. So we are a public school. We're taxpayer funded. So our funding comes from the majority of our funding comes from state funding, and so whenever the budget is passed at the state level, that money comes to us. And that's the majority of our funding. We do get some local funding that's allocated through the county or the various counties that we serve, and then we do receive a portion of federal money similar to what a traditional public school would receive. We are funded. If you look at our school report card, all of those are public documents that you can find easily through Department of Public Instruction, and there is a breakdown of the amount of funding level per student, and ours is lower than what you would find at a traditional public school. But we know that going in, and that's a challenge that we take as an opportunity to to use in our budgeting and expenditure sort of processes and whatnot.
One big difference between charter schools like Lincoln Charter School and the regular traditional public schools is that your students don't have to come from a specific geographic area. In the Lincoln County schools, for example, if one lives in the North Lincoln or East Lincoln district, then you're required, unless approved by the school board in a special vote, to attend the school in the district where you live.
Yes, sir.
Some of your students actually come, although I think the majority are from Lincoln County, some of your students do come from other counties.
Yes. Yes, so the requirement for, the stipulation for attending a charter school is that the student has to be a North Carolina resident. And so we do represent, I'm unsure of this coming school year, but we will represent over 10 different districts or LEAs. So what LEA is local education administration, I believe. And so what that means is we do have students that come from Gaston County, we have students that come from Mecklenburg County, Cabarrus, Iredell, Statesville, Hickory City Schools, and et cetera. And we that does pose a challenge for our community that are some challenges that are pretty obvious, but it also we like to think that it is a benefit because we have a diverse representation from all over the region, not just within the county.